Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Boric, and we're going to go over the top 10 ranked prospect teams in the MLB. The way these are ranked are dependent on potential more than on current production of players in the lower levels of the minors, and based off of if they have more tier 1 or tier 2 prospects. So, for example, the Cubs don't have a completely depleted farm system. They have an okay farm system. But on this list, they got ranked 30th because they're the only team that doesn't have one tier 1 prospect in consideration. They have a bunch of tier 2 prospects that are considered to be basically good contributors in the league. That's where most prospects rank. Tier 1 means elite, like the Okunas of the world, and so on. But to get to the top 10, we have to go. The first ranked team will go from 1 to 10 is in the NL East. One of the Phillies' rivals, that's the Atlanta Braves. That's because the Atlanta Braves have Austin Riley at third, who's in AAA. He's considered a tier 1. Gohara, who's already pitched a little bit, so has Soroka, both considered tier 1s. Kobe Allard, Kyle Wright, Ian Anderson, Coulter Stewart, all considered tier 1s, which means all those 8 guys have chances at potential-wise to be stars in the league. So obviously that team is going to be ranked 1. Then in A-plus ball, Pache, who they recently drafted, and Toussaint are both tier 2, so probably going to be contributors in the league for them. So they are 1, and I don't think I would move them. I agree with the list. They're definitely 1. 2 are the White Sox, and that's because they have also 8 tier 1s now. With the guy they just drafted, Madrigal, got put out as their 6th prospect, and he's projected to be a tier 1 prospect, and Hanson and Blake Weatherford got moved below him. So they are ranked 2. For number 3, it is the Padres, who moved up from being 4 previously before the draft because they have Ryan Weathers, who now is their 8th ranked prospect. They have 7 who they consider tier 1. Josh Naylor, the first baseman. Luis Ariza, who's close to the majors, probably see him soon as a tier 1. Fernando Tatis, very good player. And then Mackenzie Core, who's farther away in single A. Same with Maury Hone. But they have a very good farm system, and they're a team that trying to get players that are solid now and do something. But if they dwindle a little bit, they'll get going. Obviously, Toronto, everyone knows they have a good farm system that watches baseball because they have Vlad's son, Guerrero Jr., who's been raking. Unfortunately, got injured, so we're going to have to wait for him. They have Bo Bichette, who's one of the best infield prospects. Anthony Alford, who's one of the best outfield. Jansen, who's one of the best catching. And they have 6 total with Biggio rounding it out as tier 1 prospects. So they are well deserving of being ranked number 4. Number 5, and this is mainly because of what they consider potential for the team, is why they rank them here. This is one I don't necessarily agree with in the top 5. This is going over the list Bleacher Report did, but they moved the Rays up from 5 to 7, and that's because Sanchez, who they drafted last year, Honeywell, Adams, who's now in the MLB, McKay, and Jake Bauers, who's now in the MLB, are tier 1 prospects, and then Liberatore, who they just drafted, is a tier 1. So that moved them up, I'm assuming, to 5. But they have a lot of guys that are still really low ball. Honeywell's in the International League, and then you have the other guys in A-plus ball, so you don't know what's going to happen there. So that uncertainty, for me, wouldn't put them in the top 5, but they did, so be it. We'll probably see a team that I would say should move up to the top 5. Minnesota moved 6 spots up on their list. They were previously 12, and now they are 6. And that's because some guys, they drafted Larnick, who's considered a tier 2. He's now their 9th best prospect. Some guys moved up. They have Fernando Romero, who's now in the MLB. Royce Lewis is supposed to be one of the better infield prospects in the league. He's a tier 1. And they also have Gordon, who's right on the door at AAA. He'll probably be in the MLB by the end of the season, at very least a September dude. And Steven Gonzalez, I always mispronounce his name, but he's close to the MLB as well. So I agree with the Twins moving up, actually. Just I don't know that much. The Dodgers moved back, and that's because they have a lot of top tier talent, but basically they're probably going to move. They figure the reason this team got ranked lower is because they think the Dodgers, in order to stay competitive, they already have a lot of guys in the minors at these positions. So the prediction is they probably are going to trade some of their top tier prospects, 6 top tier prospects. They'll probably keep the catcher because their catching situation, they don't have anyone that's very young and going to take off. So catcher, they'll probably keep him. Vertigo, I would definitely keep him as an outfielder, but they don't need Diaz as well, so they might move him for somebody. They also have Kerbert Ruiz as a catcher, so they would have to decide on what catcher they want. It'll probably actually end up being him, and Smith will probably get traded. So they have a lot of decisions to make. So their farm system's very good now, but depending what they decide to do, because there are rumors that the Dodgers have been calling certain teams about certain moves, that would depend what's going on. The A's are in the top 10 this year. They drafted Murray, who is considered the 9th best prospect now. He's a tier 2 prospect. They have Franklin Barreto, who's one of the best infield prospects in the league. He's a tier 1. He's going to be up soon from second base. Jorge Mateo is also a tier 2. He's a shortstop / outfielder. He's going to be up very soon. Dustin Fowler is already in the MLB with them, and he's considered a tier 2. So they have a very solid farm system over there. And then they put the Yankees at 10 this year. They moved all the way back from 3, and that's mainly just because a lot of their guys are already up, so they don't hit the prospect list anymore. Not really for much other reason, because they still have 2 really good prospects knocking on the door in Sheffield, the pitcher, who's considered tier 1, and then the right-handed pitcher, Adam, who's considered tier 1 on AAA right now, and then tier 2 and AA. They have a bunch of solid pitchers, and then Siegler, the catcher, is a very solid tier 2, and then Florial, who's in A+, is supposed to be a very good outfielder. So they have guys. It's just a lot of the great prospects are in the majors already. So that's why their farm system dropped. Now, where they have the Phillies ranked is now 11th, and that's because we have Bohm is considered a tier 1 prospect. He moved up to being ranked 4. Enrel De Los Santos, who's dominating the minors this year, is ranked 5th. A guy that does not hit our top 10, but is also pitching very well and dominating the minors, is Cole Irvin for Lehigh Valley. He is a guy that I think might help our list in the end when people see how good he actually can be. Sir Anthony is doing very well right now. He's considered a tier 2. He could end up becoming a tier 1 reliever when all is said and done. And Hazley's considered a tier 2. I don't agree with that. Sixto Sanchez is obviously a tier 1. Adonis Medina, the right pitcher in A+, is a tier 1. Jalen Ortiz, who's doing very well in the minors, is a tier 1. Great signing there. De Los Santos is right on the door in AAA. The problem is none of our starting pitchers. If Velasquez keeps struggling, you might see him get called up. But no one to this point is struggling enough that they want to send them down and call him up. Bohm, who we drafted again, is considered a tier 1. In my opinion, because we have De Los Santos knocking on the door, who I think will become our third or fourth starter for a while once he gets up. He's going to fit in with Pivetta, Nola, Arrieta for these next few years, and then he'll be in there. I think in the end, either Zach Eflin or Jared Eichhoff after this season are going to move on, because the Phillies, when by the time De Los Santos is ready, might want to add one more pitcher in the free agency next year to really solidify the rotation, have 3 vets or something, then have Pivetta and De Los Santos in there. So I don't think Eichhoff and Eflin will both be back next year, and I think whoever comes back might not even be a primary concern for our rotation. They would have to really fight their way in spring training, because the Phillies are coming to a point where they're going to have to make some decisions with how pitchers are pitching in the minors, what they want to do with guys like a Ben Lively, a Zach Eflin, a in a lighter sense, because no pun intended, but he can pitch out of the bullpen as well. And then they have, of course, Cole Irvin in the minors as well. So the Phillies have some decisions coming up. So I think I would rank them in the top 10 still, because I think some of the guys that are ranked tier 2s, that's a little light. I think those guys are going to be pretty good. They also have Mickey Moniak ranked, I think, too low right now. And there's just some guys looking through the minors, following statistics through the app, that are doing better than projected. And because that list doesn't go by production and goes by pure potential for the most part, I think that killed the Phillies a little bit. But there's guys that's potentials keep going up because they keep showing production each year. So that has to factor in my mind too. Well, these has been a look into the rankings of minor league systems, the top 10. I moved the Phillies into the top 10 because I think we still deserve to be there. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.